Wine. You can't do this, Dad, you said with your teary eyes. Mr. Kim. Wine, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you that you're going to marry John Jungkook tomorrow. You were so shocked. How could your parents force you to marry someone you don't even know? And the wedding is tomorrow? It's so early. Mr. Kim. Wine, dear, trust me, he will keep you happy. I gave my word to Mr. John, my childhood friend, that you will marry his son. They are good people, I know them. You were still looking at them in disbelief, as you had never imagined that your wedding would be like this. You would have to marry an unknown person who can't even walk. Tears escaped from your eyes. Mrs. Kim. Wine, dear, don't cry. Trust us, he's really a good guy. You were looking at them in disbelief. Wine with teary eyes. So you are pushing me away from you by fixing my wedding with some random person? They looked at you. Wine. Alright then, if you want this, then fine. I will do this wedding. After all, you are my parents. You have all the rights to ruin my life. I am just a toy for you to whom you are using to impress your so-called friend. You bitterly chuckled and walked away from there. They both sighed and looked at each other. Next day, Wine POV. I don't know what's happening, what is going to happen next. I have never imagined my wedding like this. I don't know how they can ruin my life with their silly decision. If Mr. John's son is so good, then why don't they marry him? You were feeling so depressed and you were trying to accept everything as your fate. After a while, you walked to the asile by holding your father's hand, and you were looking down. You reached near Jungkook but didn't lift your head, as you knew that at any time you would start crying. Priest. Do you, John Jungkook, take Kim Wine as your lawfully wedded wife? He looked at you. Jungkook nodded. Yes, I do. You heard his warm voice and you looked at him for the first time. A tear dropped from your eyes when you saw him sitting on the wheelchair. His face was so handsome and smart. You were feeling so sad for him. You looked into his eyes. His eyes were innocent and beautiful. However, you quickly shifted your face to the other side when you realized that you had been staring at him. Priest. Do you, Kim Wine, take John Jungkook as your lawfully wedded husband? You were silent for a moment, still convincing yourself about this wedding. He gently looked at you when you finally spoke. I do. You looked at him. He was already looking at you. Then you glanced at your parents who were smiling so brightly. Wine in her mind, giving them a disgusting look in disbelief. How can you people be so happy by ruining your daughter's life? Jungkook noticed you looking at your parents with that face. Priest. Groom can kiss bride. Your heart started beating so fast when you looked at Jungkook, who was blankly looking at you. After a second, you slowly bowed a little towards him. He seemed a little impressed by your actions as he softly kissed your forehead. You looked at him and then stood straight, your eyes numb, trying to control your tears. Wine in her mind. I have to accept my fate. You looked at Jungkook. Wine in mind. I know I am forced into this wedding, but it's not his fault anywhere. I will never let him feel that I was forced into it. I will give my best and will try to make this relationship work. You were convincing yourself when your parents and the Johns came to both of you. Mr. John smiling. Jungkook, my son, congratulations. Mr. John looked at you. Mr. John smiled. Wine, my dear, my daughter, congratulations to you too. You are the best match for each other. Jungkook looked at you blankly. Mr. Kim. God bless you both, daughter and son-in-law. He smiled. Mrs. Kim. Yeah, Wine, I'm really happy for you both. All the best for your journey ahead. Everybody was so happy, but you and Jungkook were blankly looking at them. Time skips to his mansion. You went inside and a middle-aged house helper named Stacy came to both of you and bowed. Stacy smiled. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. When Mr. and Mrs. John arrived. Mr. John, a newlywed couple is just here. I thought you would be in your room. He laughed, but you both were looking at them with no expressions. Mr. John noticed that nobody laughed, so he stopped laughing and became serious. Mr. John, Stacy, take Jungkook to his room. She pushed his wheelchair and took him to his room. Mr. John came to you. He smiled. Vine, I know that you never thought that you would have to marry a disabled person. But Vine, my daughter, trust me, he is such a good guy. He doesn't open up easily, but I know he will keep you happy. He was not always disabled. It just happened in an accident 6 months ago. You looked at him curiously. Mr. John, but don't worry, I know he will get better soon and will start walking again. We are consulting the world's best doctors. You nodded lightly. Mrs. John coldly. Don't give her false hope, honey. We know very well that he is not going to get better. We have consulted so many good doctors, but his condition only gets worse. She said with a serious face, and you and Mr. John looked at her. Mr. John, please honey, just stop it. We are still trying. When he looked at you, you lowered your head. Mr. John, daughter, you must be tired. Go and take some rest. He called Stacy and she showed you your room. You entered the room and saw him sitting on the wheelchair, busy on his phone. As you walked inside, he noticed your presence and looked at you. Jungkook softly, the closet is there. You can change into some comfortable clothes. You looked at him and nodded. After changing into casual clothes, he looked at you. There was a moment of eye contact and quickly Jungkook looked away. Jungkook, you can sleep here on the bed. I will sleep on the couch. Vine, why? I can sleep on the couch. You please be comfortable and sleep on the bed. Jungkook, but couch is not comfortable. Vine, exactly, so how will you sleep? If it's not comfortable for me, then how would it be comfortable for you? You said and looked down. There was a minute of silence, but you broke it nervously. Vine, I guess we should sleep on the bed because we both are not ready to let each other sleep on the couch. So he looked at you softly, Vine nervously. Only if you are comfortable or else. Jungkook spoke in between. Jungkook, it's fine. I am okay with it if you are comfortable. You looked at him and lightly nodded. You both slept maintaining a safe distance, Vine in mind. He doesn't seem like a bad person. He's so good, I guess. But I don't know why I'm feeling that there is something wrong here. Mrs. John's behavior was so strange. Like, how can someone say such things about their own son? How can she give up so easily? Vine in her mind. Her behavior was really strange. And about Jungkook, I feel that he's really a good guy, but there is so much inside him. He is hiding so many feelings, emotions behind his blank face. I don't know why, but I really want to know him more. I want to help him. I can understand how he must be feeling after becoming paralyzed. He must be so depressed. I don't know why I am thinking about him so much. The next day you woke up and saw him sleeping peacefully beside you, Vine in mind. His face looks so cute and innocent. He looks just like a baby while sleeping. You smiled unknowingly. Jungkook opened his eyes and you quickly looked away. There was a knock on the door. Vine, let me check. You opened the door and saw Stacy. Stacy, good morning ma'am. I am just here to inform you that breakfast is ready. You both can come down. You nodded and closed the door. When you looked back, you saw Jungkook trying to sit in the wheelchair. He was about to fall. You quickly ran towards him, held onto his shoulder, and ended up hugging him closely. You both looked at each other for a second before you helped him sit on the chair. He was just silently looking at you, whined softly. Jungkook, please ask me when you need any help. Don't put yourself in trouble. Jungkook softly, thank you. After some time, you both went downstairs for breakfast, where Mr. and Mrs. John were already present on the table. Mr. John, oh, good morning, children. You smiled, but Jungkook just ignored him. Stacy was serving you both food. Mrs. John shouted, Stacy, what are you doing? Don't you know this food is not for Jungkook? Go and make him another. You looked at her, shocked and confused, and then at Jungkook, who was silently staring at Mrs. John. His expressions were conveying a lot. He was obviously getting angry at her behavior, but chose to hide his emotions. You were looking at them with confusion when Mr. John spoke. Mr. John looked towards you. Actually, he doesn't eat oily food. Doctors told him to take healthy food. That's why his mom is just concerned about his health. Jungkook bitterly chuckled. Jungkook, I'm going to office. I don't have appetite anymore. He was about to move when Mrs. John spoke. Mrs. John, how many times I have told you not to go to office, but you don't listen to me. You should just take rest. Jungkook stopped and sighed heavily. Mr. John, it's okay, honey. I also have told you many times that he's just gonna get bored while staying at home, so it's better for him to go to the office. Mr. John, as one day or another, he has to take business as he is the only heir of our family. Jungkook left without saying anything and his secretary pushed his wheelchair as they both went to office. When you noticed that Mrs. John was staring at Mr. John in anger, whine, I should also go. Mr. John, why daughter? You didn't have your breakfast. Whine, actually I'm not feeling hungry, that's why. He looked at you concerned and then nodded. You left from there and went to your room. Whine thinking, why did Mrs. John seem suspicious to me? I mean, if she's concerned about Jungkook, then she can say that softly. But there is something for sure that I don't know. But I'm just worried about Jungkook. He didn't even have his breakfast. You were thinking this when you got a message from Jungkook. Jungkook on text. I am sorry, Vine, for leaving immediately. I know you must have expected to have breakfast peacefully, but I'm sorry. When you read his text, a smile appeared on your face. Vine in mind. He's so caring. He's really a good person. Vine on text. It's okay, Jungkook, but please have your breakfast in office. Jungkook on text. I'm not hungry, Vine. That's why I didn't have my breakfast. Vine on text. I understand, Jungkook, that you were disappointed by Mrs. John's words, but have your breakfast. You should not be angry at food. Vine POV. I don't know why I am doing all this. I just can't stop myself from caring him. He's really something. It feels like he's controlling me, my emotions. I am feeling attracted to him. Why he's so good. Jungkook's POV. She understands me. Why is she caring for me? Nobody ever cared about me. But I don't know why I am feeling different about her. I feel that she is different from others. Her eyes are so pure that whenever I look at them, I get lost in them. Jungkook smiled internally. Jungkook texted her. Alright then, we'll have dinner tonight, okay? Vine texted. Yeah, sure. You both smiled internally. Time skips to night when Jungkook returned home. It was already late. He got late today due to some urgent work. It was already midnight. When he returned, Stacy was awake and greeted him. Jungkook was about to go to his room when Stacy helped him with wheelchair. Stacy while pushing his wheelchair. Sir, should I prepare dinner for both of you? Jungkook looked at her. Jungkook confused. Both? Stacy, yes sir. Why ma'am also didn't have her dinner. She even didn't have her breakfast. Jungkook shocked. What? Why? Stacy, sir, ma'am left to her room when you left for office and she said she is not hungry. And at dinner I called her and she said she will wait for you and you both will have dinner together. Jungkook was silent for a while. Stacy, I told her an hour ago that she should have her dinner. You must be late. But she said she is fine and will wait for you. Stacy dropped him in front of his room and left. Jungkook quickly pushed his wheelchair and went inside the room. He saw you sleeping on the couch, holding a book resting on your chest. He came near you and looked at you gently. Jungkook in mind. Why, Ryan? Why are you like this? I mean, it's just been one day and I feel like I'm getting attracted to you, towards your every action and emotion. Why do you care about me so much? Or is it just a sympathy? He was thinking when you opened your eyes, feeling someone staring at you. You quickly got up and sat straight when you found him staring at you. Vine, Jungkook, you're back? You looked at the clock and it was already midnight. Jungkook softly. Why didn't you have your dinner? You looked at him confused. Vine, because you said that we will have it together. So if I would have eaten dinner at that time, then how will I have dinner with you? My stomach is not so big that I can eat food 2 times in a row. You said innocently. Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook, but I texted you that I would be late, so you sleep early. Vine, Yes, and I slept early as you said, Jungkook. But then why you didn't have your dinner? Vine. Oh ho, because you didn't texted me about that. You just told me to sleep early and so I did. I thought that we would have dinner together. He smiled and chuckled. Jungkook smiling. Are you really this innocent? Vine. No, I'm not innocent. I'm very smart. Jungkook smiled. Jungkook, alright, now let's have dinner. Vine, yes, let me call Miss Stacy because I guess she's awake. Jungkook, I already told her. You nodded and you both had dinner in your room and even chatted a little. Like this, days passed and you both started feeling comfortable with each other. You both were loving each other's company. You both started liking each other. You both fell in love with each other. Vine was helping him whenever he needed and he was loving her so much that she was feeling thankful that she married to him. Our soul fell in love long before we ever know. One day Jungkook suddenly started feeling his thighs getting numb. You were also so concerned because before only his knees, lower legs and feet were paralyzed. But from last few days he was having some pain in his thighs and Mrs. John consulted his doctor and gave him medicines prescribed by his doctor. But today when he woke up he observed that his thighs also felt numb. He couldn't feel anything on his thighs. Jungkook panicking. Vine, please come here. You quickly came to him, seeing him panicking. Jungkook's panic and heavy breathing concerned you deeply as you rushed to his side. Vine concerned and worried. Jungkook, what happened? Please tell me. Jungkook struggled to speak, his voice trembling. You quickly hugged him tightly and slowly patted his back to calm him down. Vine, Jungkook, just calm down. You continued patting his back slowly and hugging him tightly. After a few minutes, he finally calmed down. You broke the hug and looked at him, cupping his face. Vine calmly concerned. Jungkook, are you feeling better? Jungkook looked at you and slowly nodded. Vine, what happened, Jungkook? Why were you panicking? Jungkook became silent for a second and then spoke. Jungkook, my thighs, I can't feel them, Vine. They are numb. You were taken aback by his words, fear gripping your heart. You were worried about him. You quickly checked his thighs by touching them and saw his expression confirming his lack of sensation. You were also so worried and about to panic, but you decided to stay strong in front of him as he really needed your support at this time. Vine calmly. Jungkook, we need to call the doctor right away. You reached for your phone. Your hands were shaking as you dialed the doctor's number. Jungkook's fear was palpable and you were determined to get him help he needed. After a tense phone call, you were informed that doctor would be coming over as soon as possible. In the meantime, you tried to comfort him, who was clearly distressed by his sudden development. Jungkook anxious. Vine, what if I never regain the feeling in my legs? What if it gets worse? What if I would never be able to walk again? You were feeling his pain, understanding what he was going through. You held his hand reassuringly, trying to offer some comfort. Vine supportive. Jungkook, why are you thinking like this, huh? I know that everything will be fine. You will get better soon, trust me. You smiled, but he continued to worry. Jungkook, what if I never get better? Vine, please stop it, Jungkook. Why are you thinking negative, huh? Jungkook, let us assume, Vine. After all, I also know that it is just getting worse day by day. You looked at him trying to control your tears as you were so worried about him. Jungkook, tell me what will happen if I don't get better. Vine, looking at him while holding his hand. Nothing will happen, Jungkook. Nothing will change. And I know that you will get better for sure. Jungkook with his teary eyes. Will you be with me? You looked at him confused by his question. Vine, of course, Jungkook. Why are you talking like this? Jungkook, will you be able to accept a paralyzed person for your whole life? You quickly got up from there and looked at him angrily when tears started escaping from your eyes. Vine, enough, Jungkook. Now it's enough. Please stop it now. Why are you thinking all negative? Why are you calling yourself paralyzed? You will become better soon. You are not paralyzed, Jungkook, and yes, I will always stay by your side, no matter what. I don't care what happened. But remember that I'm not gonna leave your side because I love you, Jungkook. Tears were escaping from your eyes and you were looking down. Jungkook was stunned to hear that you love him. He got so emotional and he quickly held your hand, pulled you by his side and wiped your tears. Jungkook, Vine, please stop crying. Vine, No, you're so bad. Why do you think that I will leave you? When I first saw you, you were like this. When I fell in love with you, you were like this. So why do you think that I will leave you if you will not be able to walk? Jungkook quickly held you tightly and hugged you, and you hugged him back. Jungkook held you closer in his arms, and the two of you shared a heartfelt embrace, comforting each other in the face of uncertainty. His teary eyes got softened as he realized the depth of your feeling for him. Jungkook whispered, "Vine, I don't know what to say. I never expected someone to care for me this much." Vine still hugging him. "Jungkook, you mean a lot to me. Your condition doesn't change the way I feel about you. We will face this challenge together, and I will be here on every step of the way." Jungkook broke the hug. "I love you, Vine. I love you so much." His eyes got numb and you again hugged him. As you both held on to each other, the fear and uncertainty slowly started getting away. Your love and support provided Jungkook with newfound sense of hope and determination. Soon the doctor arrived and conducted a thorough examination of Jungkook's condition. After some tests and discussions, he spoke. "Doctor, I don't know why he is not getting better. I mean, he has been given the best medicines, and if he is taking them on time, then his condition should get better. But his condition is getting worse." You looked at him and then looked at Jungkook, who was looking hopeless. "Doctor, if his condition didn't improve, I am sorry to say, but he will get permanently paralyzed. His full body will get paralyzed." A tear escaped from your eyes, and when you looked at Jungkook, he was blankly looking at Doctor. Vine worried. "Doctor, what should we do then? I mean, there must be some solution to this problem." "Doctor, I will write some medicines and make him eat that. I really hope that they will work. But if..." Vine, "Yeah, doctor, please write that medicines." When Mr. and Mrs. John came inside your room, "Mr. John, what happened, my son?" He looked at the doctor. "Mr. John, what happened, doctor? Is everything fine?" Doctor was about to speak when you spoke. Vine, "Doctor, please give me the list of medicines and I will bring them." He handed you the list and left, and Mr. John also went with the doctor and to ask about Jungkook's condition. Mrs. John, "Vine, give that list to me. I am going downstairs and I will ask the worker to bring them." You were suspicious already about her a bit, and this time you didn't listen to her. Vine, "It's okay, Mrs. John. I will bring them myself. I don't trust any worker." Mrs. John angry. "What do you want to say? That I am giving him wrong medicines?" Vine, "Please don't shout, Mrs. John. You are disturbing him. And I'm just saying that I want to handle all this by myself." Mrs. John, "You will regret, Vine," she said, burning in anger, and left from there. But you didn't care about what she said, and you sat beside Jungkook. He was silent and didn't spoke anything. Vine, "Jungkook?" he hummed. Vine, "What are you thinking, Jungkook? You remember now, I am always with you, and we'll fight together and will surely win." You smiled when he looked at you. Jungkook, "I don't know, Vine, but I don't think that I'll get better. You heard what doctor said, right? There are chances that I will get permanently paralyzed." You looked at him, but you only know that it is hurting too much by listening him saying that he will not get better. It feels like stabbing. Vine, "Jungkook, please take rest. And if you trust me, just even little bit, then please believe that you will be fine very soon." He looked at you when you hug him. This is the best feeling in the world, hugging each other, being in each other's embrace. Here, it feels like all the stress and worries had gone away. After some time, you brought his medicine and gave him. Like this, you started taking care of him more. You always gave him medicine on time, and like this, 1 month passed. And when doctor came, he examined his condition. Doctor, "Congratulations, Mr. John. Your condition is getting better." You looked at each other happily. Doctor, "If he will continue to be improving like this, then very soon he would be able to walk." By saying this, he left. Mr. John happily, "Thank God, finally for the first time doctor said that it is getting better." He looked at both of you and passed a smile. But you looked at Mrs. John, who doesn't seem happy. Mr. and Mrs. John left. Jungkook happily, his eyes turned numb. "Thank you, Vine." You looked at him. Vine, "I didn't did anything, Jungkook. Thanks to you. You are really improving." You happily hugged him. Jungkook, "No, Vine, thanks to you. You were the only one who didn't give up on me. Everybody gave up, even me myself lost all my hope. But you were the one who always motivated me, who didn't give up on me. Thank you so much, Vine. You looked at him and wiped his tears. Vine, why are you crying, Cookie? It is a good news. You should be happy. Jungkook pecked on your hand and smiled at you. Time skips after 2 days. You and Jungkook were walking in the street. You were helping him to stand on his foot, as doctors prescribed him to do some exercise and try to stand on his feet. He was falling again and again, but you were picking him up and making him try once more. Vine, just one more time, one last time, please try and we'll end today's exercise. He nodded and tried to stand, but he just stood for 2 seconds and again he sat on the wheelchair. Jungkook, it's so tough, Vine. Vine, no problem. You did well, Jungkook. If you will practice daily, then you will be able to stand for sure. You both were heading back to the house when 3 guys blocked your way. They were wearing black outfits and masks. They were looking like kidnappers or criminals. You quickly pushed Jungkook's wheelchair and started walking from other side, but one of them held your hand tightly. You looked at him angrily. Vine, leave my hand. Jungkook looked back and saw that guy holding your hand forcefully. Jungkook angry. Leave her hand, you. Another guy picked you forcefully and was about to take you with them when Jungkook shouted in anger. You, leave her hand, I said. He was trying to get up from the chair but was unable. When third guy pushed his wheelchair hardly and he fell on the ground. Vine shouting, Jungkook, Jungkook, are you fine? You started crying. The road was all silent. You were shouting for help but nobody was there. You were hitting the guy who picked you with your legs when he put you down, and another guy held your arms tightly, not letting you go. First guy, hey, such a beauty gonna die soon. You were just looking at Jungkook, who was lying down on the floor trying to get up but feeling helpless. Second guy bring out his gun from his pocket. You were so shocked and scared by looking at the gun. You were more worried about Jungkook as he can't even run from there. Vine in mind, scared. What? A gun? What if they shoot him? What if they hurt him? Please God, save him. Please don't let him get hurt. Please. Tears escaped from your eyes. When first guy bring a knife from his pocket, he placed that knife near your neck. Jungkook POV. They have a gun and a knife. What if they hurt her? I should do something. I can't let her get hurt. But I'm helpless. I'm useless. I can't do anything. I can't even stand on my own. I'm trying my best to stand, but it's not possible for me. When that guy placed a knife harshly on your neck, you closed your eyes as it was hurting. Jungkook shouted, Hey, don't touch her. Leave her, please. Tears were escaping from his eyes. Third guy, oh look, her Romeo is begging us to leave her, huh? Second guy, but we'll not leave her. They started laughing. First guy was pushing knife more harshly when your neck started bleeding. You were still closing your eyes tightly. Jungkook looked at you with his helpless tears. It was the worst feeling to see your loved ones in danger but couldn't be able to do anything. Second guy, hey, why are you wasting time? Just kill her quickly. I don't have much time to waste here. I have to go on a date with my girlfriend. Third guy taunted. Oh really? You have a girlfriend? Second guy, yeah, of course. Not everybody is single like you. First guy frustrated. Yeah, please, shut your mouth. First guy looked at Jungkook, who was begging to them to leave you. You were little shocked that he is begging them to leave you because he never even requests someone. But yeah, you were an exception for him. But today, he is. First guy smirked looking at Jungkook and was about to stab you. When you opened your eyes, you saw Jungkook's red face. He was sobbing. First guy was about to kill you, but suddenly you don't know what came into your mind when you kicked him between his legs. When he shouted so badly, Jungkook looked at you shocked. You also don't know why you did that, but it was a sudden action you took to defend yourself. Second and third guy looked at you with weird shocking expressions. Jungkook quickly got a chance as now everybody's focus was on you, so he texted his secretary and sent him their location to help them. Second guy, Hey girl, how dare you to kick him between his legs? He came near you with his gun when you kicked him also between his legs. His eyes got red in pain. The third guy was shocked and held you more tightly from the back. You were trying your best to escape from his grip, but he was so strong. But then you moved your head backward, hitting his nose. His grip loosened as you quickly ran towards Jungkook. Your neck was bleeding and you were feeling little dizzy due to blood loss. There were a little deep scratch on your neck. You quickly made him sit on the wheelchair and was about to run from there when you felt something sharp on your back and you fell down on the road. One of the guys stabbed you from the back and then ran away. When Jungkook looked back, he saw you falling on the ground. Your white top was all red, covered with blood. Your eyes were getting closed, but you were trying your best to not to lose your consciousness. Jungkook's world almost shattered when he saw you. He quickly fell himself on the ground and placed your head in his lap. He was crying so badly that we can't even imagine. Jungkook, Vine, please don't close your eyes. Please, I'm sorry. Please, Vine, open your eyes. He broke into tears. His tears were continuously falling. Vine weakly, it's not your fault, Jungkook. You are the best, and I love you, You fainted. He started panicking when suddenly a car stopped near them, and his secretary came outside from it. He was shocked by the scene he saw, but he quickly picked you up and put you in the car, and he helped Jungkook to sit in the car and he drove to the hospital. You were in critical condition. Doctors took you to the operation theater. The hospital staff worked tirelessly to save your life. Jungkook was in waiting area, having fear of losing you. Tears were streaming down his cheeks. The uncertainty and helplessness weighed on him heavily. Hours dragged on as he waited for any update on your condition. Finally, a doctor came from the operation theater and Jungkook quickly rushed to him, his eyes filled with hope, fear and guilt. Jungkook anxiously, Doctor, how is she? Please tell me that she is okay. Doctor with grave expressions, Mr. John, I am afraid it's not a good news. We did everything we could, but her condition was critical when she arrived. We couldn't stabilize her in time. She is in a very critical state and we are doing our best. Jungkook felt like his world was falling apart. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He thanked the doctor, his voice choked with sorrow, and returned to the waiting area, alone with his thoughts and regrets. His family was also there trying to calm him, but for him, his family, his world is only one, who is fighting between life and death. In the days that followed, your condition remained critical, and Jungkook's disappear grew with each passing moment. He spent every available minute by your bedside, holding your hand, praying for a miracle and begging for your recovery. As your life hung in the balance, Jungkook's love for you only grew stronger. He wished he could turn back time, protect you from harm, and make everything right again. As you fought for your life, Jungkook was locked in tormenting battle of emotions. His love for you was unwavering, but so was his guilt. He couldn't help but think that if he were stronger, faster, or more capable, he could have prevented this nightmare from happening. Days turned into nights and hospital room became silent witness to Jungkook's internal turmoil. He spent every moment by your bedside, holding your hand, whispering apologies and promises he wasn't sure you could hear. He wished he could turn back time, undo the events that had led to this tragic situation. He longed for a second chance, a chance to protect you, to keep you safe from harm. He was hoping that you could recover while torturing himself with the guilt that it was all his fault. Slowly, as the days passed, your condition started to improve. One day, Jungkook was asleep in the wheelchair holding your hand. When you woke up after a long sleep, you saw him in front of you. You weakly smiled at him and gently kissed his soft cheeks. He woke up, his eyes filled with surprise and happiness. Jungkook with teary eyes. Vine, how are you? How are you feeling, Vine? Vine weakly smiled. As long as you are with me, I am perfectly fine, Jungkook. His smile initially brightened but soon faded as cloud of sadness overcame him. You noticed his change of expression and became concerned. Vine, Jungkook, what happened? Jungkook didn't utter a word but simply looked down. Vine, Jungkook? Jungkook sadly. I'm sorry, Ryan. I was unable to protect you. Tears welled up in his eyes as he blamed himself. Jungkook, you were attacked right in front of my eyes and I couldn't protect you. I feel so useless. Ryan concerned. Jungkook, please stop blaming yourself. What are you saying? It was just an accident. But deep down you knew it might not have been just an accident, but you didn't want to burden him with suspicions. Jungkook, you need to rest, Ryan. Please get some rest. You nodded. After a while, you messaged his secretary instructing him to find out who was behind all this. She had her suspicion about Mrs. John, but she needed proof and clarity. Jungkook came over to you after some minutes. Jungkook, why aren't you sleeping? You should take rest. Ryan, I have already slept a lot. He hummed in understanding. You knew that he is still blaming himself at this point. You were feeling helpless because you were trying to convince him that it was not his mistake, but he was really feeling guilty. You thought to switch the topic and clear the mystery. Ryan, Jungkook, can I ask you something? It's a personal question. He looked at you and nodded. Jungkook, of course, Ryan. Ryan, why don't you like your parents? He was surprised and confused by her question, but he decided to answer honestly. After a brief silence, he began to speak, his emotions surfacing. Actually, my mother died in an accident and then Mr. John married her. I mean, Mrs. John. My mother found out about Mr. John's affair with Mrs. John, my stepmother, so she angrily left the house that day and his voice trailing off as emotions overcame him. Vine held his hand, offering comfort. Jungkook took a deep breath. Jungkook, for me, he is the reason that my mother is not with me today. He betrayed her, and just after her death, he married another woman. I started hating him for this reason. So he named all his property on my name and ensured that if I died, it would be transferred to my children or donated to an orphanage to prove his love. But for me, he killed my mom. You felt bad for him as it was seriously a shocking truth for you. You didn't knew that Mrs. John is his stepmom. Vine, I'm sorry. Jungkook looked at you and managed a soft smile. Jungkook, it's okay, Vine. You don't have to feel sorry. It's in past. You nodded in understanding his pain. Vine in mind. The entire property is in Jungkook's name. If something happens to him, like permanent paralysis, he would not be able to manage the company and Mrs. John can take control over it. Everything started to connect in your mind. You quickly sent a text to Jungkook's secretary requesting to send all the old prescriptions and details of the medicine he was taking before their wedding. Vine via text. I want all the previous prescriptions and details of the medicines he was taking. Secretary. Yes, ma'am. As the days passed, you get recovered. You both took each other's care. When Jungkook's condition was getting better, you were discharged from hospital and were now busy in investigating about the truth behind all this, and you finally got to know all the truth. One day, Vine. Jungkook, I want to tell you something. Jungkook looked at you serious face. Jungkook curious. What's that, Vine? When his secretary came inside your room and bowed to both of you. Secretary. Sir, the truth which we want to tell you is that Mrs. John intentionally planned your accident. She was behind your accident. Jungkook shocked. What? What are you saying? Mrs. John? He looked at you with confused expressions. Secretary. Yes, sir. It appears that her motive goes so much deeper than we initially thought. She had a hand in both accidents. Jungkook confused. Both? Secretary. Yes, sir. She was behind your mother's accident also. Jungkook was so shocked. He was processing everything he heard. He was boiling in anger. You held his hand tightly. Secretary. And she was the one who wanted to kill Ryan. She ordered those men to kill her that day. Jungkook got more angry by listening this. His face turned red. He was fuming in anger. You were patting his shoulder to calm him down. Jungkook angry and confused. But why? Why would she do this? Ryan. It's because she wanted your property and she saw your mother as an obstacle. After your mother's accident, she may have believed that you would inherit everything. So she tried to kill you But after your accident, your father named all the property on your name, so she decided to make you permanently paralyzed so that she can take control on the property. Jungkook was hearing all this while fuming in anger. Jungkook, and what about you? Why she wanted to kill you? Secretary, because Wine Ma'am was the one who was trying to make you get better. She was giving you correct medicines and time and you were improving. So Mrs. John decided to kill her so that she could make you permanently paralyzed. Wine, she was giving you wrong medicines from so long so that you can become permanently paralyzed. That's why you were not improving, Jungkook. He was feeling mixed of hurt and anger. After learning the shocking truth about Mrs. John's intentions, Jungkook was consumed by anger, but he knew that he needed to act wisely. You and Jungkook, with the help of his secretary, collected the proof against her by catching the 3 guys who were behind you to kill you. And finally, after so much hard working, they confessed that Mrs. John told them to kill you, and before 6 to 7 months, she told them to fail the brakes of Jungkook's car to kill him. It was Mrs. John's order. The kidnappers had the recording of Mrs. John ordering them to kill you and Jungkook so that they, the kidnappers, can blackmail Mrs. John in future and get money. You collected all the proof after so much hard work and submitted to the police. And after this, Mrs. John got arrested. Even she denied many times that she is innocent, but all the proofs were against her. Mr. John was so shocked. He was feeling mixed of anger, hurt, and betrayal. He thought that Mrs. John loved him, but she was all behind his money and property. And the fact that she killed his first wife, Jungkook's mother, and even tried to kill Wine and Jungkook was unbelievable for him. He sat on the couch, held his head between his palms, and became all silent, trying to process everything. Jungkook was looking at him. Of course, he was not feeling good for Mr. John. After all, he is his father. But he was trying to control his emotions and act cold like he don't care. When you went to Mr. John and sat beside him on the couch, Wine trying to comfort him. Dad, I know you are blaming yourself for all this, but we know that there was not your fault. Jungkook and Mr. John were silently looking at you. Wine, I know you always want our best and you never wanted your children to get hurt, so please don't blame yourself. You passed him a smile. Tears escaped from Mr. John's eyes and he looked down. Jungkook felt a sharp pain by seeing his dad's teary eyes. He cried last time when his mother got into an accident, and after that today he is crying. You looked at Jungkook when he firstly looked at you and then moved his wheelchair towards Mr. John. Jungkook's slow voice, please don't cry, Dad. When Mr. John looked at him and saw Jungkook's numb eyes, Mr. John emotional. Dad? Jungkook stopped calling him Dad after his mother's accident because for him he was the reason for that accident. Jungkook looked towards him. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I knew that was an accident, but I thought that you were the cause of it. I hated you for so long for this reason, but you were always there for me whenever I needed you. You never failed to do your duties as your father. You were not a good husband. You cheated on your wife, but you were a good father. So my mom has all the rights to hate you. But today I want to apologize for everything. I don't want to hate you and anymore, and I'm sorry. Tears escaped from Jungkook's and Mr. John's eyes. Mr. John, Jungkook, my son, you don't know how much I waited for this day. That when will you forgive me? When will you call me Dad? I'm sorry, my son. Mr. John started crying. Jungkook wiped his tears and hugged him while sitting on the wheelchair. You also got emotional, and to switch the mood you said, Wine. Yeah, guys, I guess I should give you some privacy. Do whatever you want. I'm hungry. So I'm going to have my lunch. You guys continue. When Jungkook broke the hug and looked at you, Jungkook frowned his eyebrows. What do you mean by do whatever you want? What do you think about us, huh? Wine dramatically. What? I said you guys are getting emotional, so do all your emotional crying and hugging stuff and I'll have my lunch. That's it. What are you thinking, huh? Mr. John chuckled. Mr. John, alright, no, please don't start fighting. And yeah, I'm also hungry, so come, let's have lunch together. You and Jungkook passed him a smile and you pushed his wheelchair and went to do lunch. Time skips to the same day at night. You came outside from the bathroom after taking bath when you saw Jungkook standing on his feet holding flowers. You couldn't believe what you saw, so you quickly rubbed your eyes and then looked at him. He was smiling at you. Your eyes got teary when you quickly ran towards him to hug him, but you got slipped as your feet were wet. But you were close to him, so he quickly catch you in his muscular arms. Jungkook smiling. Yeah, baby, calm down. What's the hurry? Wine emotional. Yeah, Jungkook, are you really? I mean, you can walk? Your legs are fine now? He smiled and nodded. You were feeling so happy when Jungkook wiped your tears. Jungkook, why are you crying, baby? It's a good news, I guess. Wine. Yeah, these are the tears of happiness. But wait, when did you got to know that you can walk? Jungkook, actually, I was about to tell you that day when you told me that truth about Mrs. John. But then I decided that I'll tell you this when everything would be fine and sorted. I'm sorry, Wine, for telling you late. You quickly hugged him. Wine, thank you so much, Jungkook. I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't have words to express my feelings. You don't know how much happy I am feeling. Jungkook, it's all credit goes to you, accept it or not. And thanks to you, my baby. He broke the hug. Jungkook, let's have dinner outside. Wine, no, let's have dinner with Dad. I mean, he's also a little disturbed after what happened, so we should tell him this and he would be so happy. Jungkook looked at you with a smile and nodded. Wine, don't think that I'll let you go with just a dinner. You have to take me to a long holiday. Jungkook smiled. Jungkook teasing. You mean honeymoon? Wine, you can say anything. When you both walked downstairs to have dinner, Mr. John got surprised by seeing Jungkook walking on his feet. He felt so happy and quickly got up and hugged Jungkook. Mr. John, Jungkook, you can walk? Wow, it's amazing. Jungkook smiled. Yeah, Dad, it's all because of her. When Jungkook and Mr. John looked at you, Mr. John smiled. Yeah, no doubt. It's just because of your hard work and love, my daughter. When you all sat to have dinner, the atmosphere was light and filled with love. Jungkook couldn't resist teasing you a little more. Jungkook, smirking. You know, Wine, while I was busy regaining my ability to walk, it seems like you were busy regaining your appetite, he said, looking at you eating. You playfully pushed his arm. Wine, oh please, let me eat. I'm so hungry and happy today. Jungkook nodded. Jungkook, you know, Wine, what's the best thing about our house? You raised an eyebrow. Wine, no, I don't know. What's that? Jungkook leaned even closer, his lips almost touching your ear, and whispered, Jungkook, there is no annoying nurse to interrupt our romance. You pushed him away lightly and started eating while blushing. Mr. John chuckled. He was glad to see you both in such a high spirit and happy with each other. You and Jungkook found yourself in the romantic city of Paris, enjoying a blissful holiday. Lying side by side, the soft morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a warm glow on your faces. Jungkook opened his eyes, a fond smile gracing his lips as he gazed at you. Jungkook smiles and thinks, Wine, why are you so cute? As if feeling his admiration, you slowly opened your eyes. You rubbing your eyes. Good morning, Cookie. Jungkook's smile widened, his eyes filled with affection. Jungkook, good morning, sweetheart. Jungkook held you tightly in his muscular arms and was looking at your face closely, whined dramatically. Yeah, I know I'm so beautiful, cute, hot, gorgeous girl, but please don't stare at me. Jungkook chuckled and hugged you more tightly. Jungkook smiled. Yeah, you're very beautiful, cute, hot and gorgeous. After all, you're John Jungkook's wife. You giggled. Jungkook, so where are we going today? Wine excitedly. Yeah, so today we'll go in a club. I found a famous club here. Jungkook, yeah, I don't want to go there, please. Wine, why? What's the problem? Don't worry, I'll not let any girl come near you. He chuckled. But still, I'm not in a mood to go in club. So leave it. Let's dress today in a room and cuddle. He smiled. Wine frustrated. No. If you don't want to come, then it's okay. I'll go by myself. You were about to leave when Jungkook held your hand and pulled you towards him. Your head bumped into his chest. Jungkook, so when are we going? He smiled. Wine. At night in club. Jungkook, club huh? You nodded eagerly, your excitement rekindled. Jungkook, alright, let's freshen up and go. My wife won't let me sleep peacefully. Will she? You playfully narrowed your eyes at him. Yeah, oh really? Why did you agree now to go with me? You can sleep and I can go alone. Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook, I can't let my wife go to the club alone. I mean, I know what kind of people are there, so I don't want my wife to get in trouble. And secondly, I can't stand the thought of my wife's Barbie face turning into a panda in anger. Your heart warmed at his words, and you couldn't help but give him a lovely peck on his cheeks before getting ready. You both firstly went to do breakfast in famous five-star restaurant, and then you both walked together in the streets of Paris. Time skips to night. You both were at the club and you started downing one drink after another. Jungkook watched you with growing shock. Jungkook, do you really have this much capacity? You now, quite intoxicated, swayed a bit but giggled. You don't know me, Cookie. You picked up another shot and downed it. Jungkook grew concerned. Jungkook, baby, it's enough. You are so drunk. You looked at him with a playful grin, denying your intoxicated state. Wine. Me? No, I'm not drunk. You are drunk, Cookie. You took another shot. Jungkook took you back to the hotel and gently laid you on the bed. However, you quickly sat up looking a bit disoriented. Jungkook confused. Yeah, what do you want, Wine? Wine, I want you. You giggled uncontrollably as he chuckled. Jungkook playfully. Yeah, really? You paused, your expression suddenly changing. Wine, I want to eat ice cream. Jungkook was surprised. Jungkook, ice cream? Now? You nodded eagerly, but Jungkook was concerned. Jungkook, you should sleep fine. You're not in your senses. When you wake up, I'll buy you ice cream. Instead of agreeing, you started crying loudly, your emotions overwhelmed by the alcohol. Jungkook's worry deepened as he tried to comfort you and get you to rest. Jungkook was shocked by your sudden outburst. Jungkook, yeah, baby, why are you crying? Please don't cry. However, you only cried even louder, and between sobs, you began to speak incoherently. Wine, you are so bad, idiot, nonsense. With those words, you abruptly left the room, leaving Jungkook deeply concerned. He quickly ran after you, shouting your name. Jungkook, Wine, baby, please stop. You went downstairs to the hotel lobby where a crowd of people was present. Jungkook hurriedly followed, slightly out of breath. Jungkook huffing. Wine, baby, what are you doing? Come with me, I'll buy you ice cream. You glanced towards him, your gaze unfocused and confused. Wine, who are you? Jungkook was taken aback, his heart sinking. Jungkook, baby? Wine, baby? I have no baby. Jungkook placed his hand on his forehead, trying to remain patient. Jungkook, Wine, you are drunk. Baby, please come with me. Wine shouts. But who are you? I don't know you. The commotion caught the attention of everyone in the hotel lobby. Jungkook looked around, feeling tensed and embarrassing, and then back at you. Jungkook tensed. Wine, what are you saying? I am Jungkook, your husband. Wine, huh? Husband? Junk food? You burst into laughter. Wine, yeah, I have no junk food husband. I think you are the one who's drunk. Jungkook tiredly took a deep breath, his patience wearing thin. Jungkook, Wine, sweetheart, come with me to our room and sleep. Please, you are not in your senses. Wine, what? How cheap you are. Why should I sleep in your room? You, don't you have any shame, huh? Jungkook grew frustrated. Jungkook, Wine, I'm telling you for the last time. Otherwise, Wine, otherwise what? Jungkook picked you in a bridal style while you were struggling and pushing him away. Vine shouting, "Yeah, please, help somebody! This person is taking me to his room!" Everyone in the lobby turned their attention to the scene, their eyes widened with surprise. Jungkook shouting, "Yeah, she is my wife and she is drunk, so please don't pay attention to her." Before anyone could respond, Jungkook swiftly made his way to your room. Jungkook gently laid you down on the bed, making sure you were comfortable. You had already fallen asleep in his arms. As he carefully tucked you in, he received a message from an unknown number. His heart skipped a beat as he checked the message, and a whirlwind of emotions washed over him. The text: "Your mom is alive." The words on the screen left him in a state of shock and tension. Thoughts raced through his mind, a mixture of hope, doubt, and confusion. Author's POV. Could it be true? Or was someone cruelly playing with his emotions? He couldn't ignore the message's impact, but he also couldn't fully trust it. As he lay down on the bed beside you, the message continued to haunt his thoughts as he wrestled with the uncertainty of the situation while holding you close in his arms. As Jungkook watched you sleep, he heard you whispering something in your slumber. He leaned in closer, his heart warming at a sound of your voice. Vine whispering, "Jungkook, my Jungkook." Jungkook couldn't help but chuckle at your adorable sleep talk. He whispered back, his voice filled with affection. Jungkook, "Yeah, people call me Jungkook, Cookie, even Jungkookie, but she just gave me a new name, Jungkooku. But it's cute." With a soft smile, he leaned down and gently pecked your lips, cherishing his sweet moment between you two. You woke up with a sharp headache, and as you looked around, you noticed that Jungkook was not beside you. Confusion crossed your face, and you slowly sat up in the bed, rubbing your temples. You saw him busy packing. Vine, "Jungkook, what are you doing?" Jungkook looked at you and offered a warm smile. Jungkook, "Good morning, sweetheart. I'm packing. I think you forgot that today we have to return to Seoul and our flight is in evening." Vine, "Oh, yeah, I remember. My memory is so sharp." Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook, in a dramatic fashion, raised an eyebrow and smirked. Jungkook, "Memory? Sharp? And yours?" He burst into laughter, finding your attempt at humor amusing. Vine, "Yeah, why are you laughing?" Jungkook, "Yesterday, when you were drunk, you even forgot that I am your husband. You said that you don't know me." You looked at him, eyes widened with shock and disbelief. Vine, "What? No, you are lying. It can't be possible." Jungkook maintained a teasing grin. Jungkook, "Yeah, baby, accept it or not. You troubled me so much yesterday. Next time, I won't let you drink again." Feeling a mix of embarrassment and amusement, you stood up and joined him in packing, both of you sharing a light-hearted moment as you prepared to return home. As you both continued packing, Jungkook's phone chimed with another message from the same unknown number. His expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he read the message. Text: "Your mom is alive. If you want to know more, come to XXX place tomorrow." You noticed the tension on his face and couldn't help but voice your concern. Vine, "Is everything fine, Cookie?" Jungkook looked at you, his eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. He remained silent for a moment, contemplating how to respond. Jungkook finally, Vine, "There is something I need to tell you. It's about my mom." Jungkook spoke as his voice filled with a sense of unease. Jungkook, "Actually, Vine, I got a message from an unknown number." You turned your full attention to him. Vine, "What text?" Jungkook showed you the text and you read the message. Shock washed over your face. You looked back at Jungkook, your eyes filled with concern. You both exchanged a worried glances. Vine, "What if somebody is just joking?" Jungkook, "I also think that, but why would someone do that? I need to meet this person." You felt a deep sense of sympathy for Jungkook. You knew how much he loved his mom, and this was undoubtedly a sensitive and emotional matter for him. You reached out and gently placed your hand on his, offering him comfort and support. After returning to Seoul, you both went home, and Jungkook wasted no time texting the mysterious person to arrange a meeting. Due to the flight delay, he hadn't been able to meet them earlier. The person sent a location, and Jungkook made his way to the specified cafe. Inside the cafe, he spotted a middle aged man who seemed to be waiting for him. The man waved, and Jungkook approached him. Man, Jungkook, right? Jungkook nodded in acknowledgement as he took a seat, his curiosity piqued. Jungkook, so you were the one who was texting me. Man, yes, because I thought you deserved to know the truth. Jungkook's anxiety and impatience grew as he urged the man to get to the point. Jungkook, truth? What truth? And please, if you are joking, then please end it here. The man's expression remained serious. Man, no, I'm not joking. I'm here to tell you the truth about your mom's accident. Jungkook leaned in, his eyes fixed on the man, a mixture of fear and anticipation welling up within him. Man, before I say anything, please prepare yourself for what I am about to tell you. It may be tough for you to accept. Jungkook, feeling frustrated and anxious, clenched his fist. Jungkook, frustrated. Please just speak. Whatever it is, I need to know. Man, hi, I'm Logan. John Logan, your mom's ex-boyfriend. Jungkook was visibly surprised and looked at Logan, his curiosity piqued. Logan, actually Jungkook, on the day of your mom's accident, she called me. When she called me, I was a little surprised, but I decided to pick up her call. And when I picked it up, Jungkook leaned in, his curiosity mounting. Jungkook, then Mrs. John called Logan. Hello, Logan, please listen to me. I need your help. Her voice trembled with fear and desperation, sending a chill down Logan's spine. Logan worried. What happened? I mean, where are you? Are you fine? Mrs. John, I am at home, but my husband found out about the truth. Suddenly Logan heard a loud bang from the other side of the phone. He was shouting Mrs. John's name, but there was no reply. The call abruptly ended from Mrs. John's side, leaving Logan filled with worry and uncertainty, unaware of the tragic event that had unfolded. Jungkook's curiosity and worry deepened as Logan recounted the event from the past. Jungkook, curious and worried. What truth was she talking about? Logan, I don't know. Before she could say anything, the call ended. But just after 2 minutes, I saw the news that Mrs. John died in a car accident. That was really shocking and hard to believe for me because I had just talked to her 2 minutes before and she said she was at home. Even if we assume that she lied to me, I didn't hear any sound of an accident. I mean, if there had been an accident, there must have been some noise of a car crash. But all I heard was her shouting and crying on the call then it ended. Isn't it suspicious? Jungkook's emotions were in turmoil as he proceeded the shocking truth about her mother, his voice trembling with confusion, worry, and shock. Jungkook's silently worried, trembling voice. Why? Why are you telling me this now? You should have told me this before. Logan, because I didn't want to trouble you. Initially, I wanted to gather all the evidence and find Mrs. John. I believed she must be alive, and I have my suspicions about. Logan's gaze locked onto Jungkook. Jungkook, about? Logan, Mr. John. Jungkook was taken aback by his revelation. He couldn't believe that his own father could ever be involved in something concerning his mother. Jungkook, filled with strong emotions, defending his father. Jungkook, how can you say that? He is my dad. Why would he hurt my mom? He would never do that. Logan let out a bitter chuckle. Logan, I knew you would not believe me. But please let me explain everything. Jungkook looked worried and confused, torn between his loyalty to his father and Logan's unsettling suspicions. He was eager to hear the full story to make sense of the situation. Logan began to explain the background to Jungkook, hoping to shed light on the situation. Logan, you know, your mom came from a very wealthy family and she was a successful businesswoman. The company you work for, the one you now own, was actually built by your mom. The house you live in, your mom owned that too. She owned the company and the house, even the farmhouse, is your mom's property. Jungkook listened in shock. His eyes widened as he absorbed this information. Logan, on the other hand, Mr. Jeon came from a humble background, but your mom fell in love with him and they started dating. After just 1 month, they got married. Your mom not only gave him a job in her company, but she also gave him a high-ranking position. She even shared her house with him. Jungkook's expression grew serious as he took the complex history of his parents' relationship. Jungkook, I didn't knew this. I knew my mom was a businesswoman and managed our company, but I wasn't aware of all this. But still, these things don't prove that my father is involved in her case. And why would he even do that? Logan persisted in trying to make Jungkook understand. Logan, listen Jungkook, your father wanted her property. Jungkook chuckled at the idea. Jungkook, oh please, my father put all his property in my name. Are you suggesting he is after more property? Logan sighed in frustration. Logan, I guess you didn't hear me properly. Logan continued to explain the intricate details to Jungkook. Logan, all the property you have actually belongs to your mother. She was the rightful owner of everything. Despite giving your father a high-ranking position, a lavish mansion, and a prestigious position in the society, she never transferred her property into his name. According to your mother's will, all her property was to pass on to her son after her death, which means you, Jungkook. She even specified that after you, it would be inherited by your children or donated to an orphanage. So in the eyes of the world, she may have passed away. That's why her property was meant to come to you as per your mother's will. Jungkook listened, his surprise and realization growing. Jungkook felt overwhelmed by the weight of his revelation, his hand pressed against his forehead as he struggled to comprehend it all. Jungkook confused. But how did you know that my mom is still alive? Logan leaned in, sharing his uncertain belief. Logan, I am not 100% sure, but I am about 98% certain. Think, Jungkook, if your father wants her property, he would need to keep her alive. He could use her as a leverage to gain control of everything. Killing you would not work because your property would be donated. Moreover, the body in the car accident was burned beyond recognition, making identification impossible. So, there is still a possibility that your mom is alive. I have been trying to find her for the past few months after her accident, but I couldn't. Jungkook processed all the information and stood up, his determination and seriousness evident in his posture and voice. Jungkook determined and serious. I'll find out if she is alive. And if it turns out my father is behind all this, I'll not spare him. And if I discover that you were lying, I won't spare you either. His resolve was firm and he was prepared to uncover the truth and take actions no matter the consequences. Logan stood up, offering Jungkook a reassuring smile. Logan, sure. Jungkook, his mind racing with determination, and nodded. Jungkook, but I need to plan everything carefully. I need to find my mom. Logan corrected him with a supportive tone. Logan, we need to find your mom. Jungkook nodded in determination. Logan, I am with you, Jungkook, and I have a plan. We can try this plan and see if it works or not. Jungkook's serious expression shifted into one of readiness as Logan began to outline the plan. The two of them united in their mission to uncover the truth and locate Jungkook's missing mom. As night fell, Jungkook returned home and retreated to his room. Deep in the thought, his serious expression didn't go unnoticed by you, and with concern in your eyes, You couldn't help but jump onto the bed and sit in his lap. You looked at him intently, your questions pouring out. Vine concerned and serious. What happened, Cookie? Did you meet that person? Who was he? Do you know him? What did he say? Was he really joking? Your rapid fire questions filled the room, but then Jungkook's expression shifted and he chuckled, a soft smile gracing his lips. Jungkook smiling playfully. Yeah, baby, please calm down. You are asking me so many questions all at once. Ask me one by one. How can I answer them all together? His playful response brought a sense of relief, and you couldn't help but smile as well. Vine. Yeah, I was just concerned and curious. Don't make fun of me. You pouted. Jungkook softly and gently cupped your face with his hands. Jungkook. I wasn't making fun of you, Vine. You just reminded me of my mom. She used to ask me so many questions all at once whenever I came back from school. She would ask me, how was your day? Did you finish your lunch? How was it? How did your test go today? How did you score? And so much more. As he spoke, Jungkook's eyes welled up with tears and you instinctively hugged him, feeling a deep connection between the two of you. You comforted Jungkook by gently patting his shoulder as tears streamed down his face. Jungkook while crying, Why this happened to me? Why did she leave me? Why can't I meet her? Why isn't she with me? Why? Please tell me, am I so bad that everybody I love leaves me? I loved my mom and she left me. I even loved my dad. I know I had my issues with him, but deep down, I really loved him. And now he... You looked at him, your confusion evident in your eyes as he sobbed. Jungkook sobbing, You won't leave me, right? You'll always stay with me, right? You gently cupped his face. Vine. No, Cookie, I'll never leave you, no matter what. So please calm yourself. And you're not a bad person. Sometimes there are things we can't control. So we should not blame ourselves, Cookie. Jungkook looked at you as you gently wiped his tears away. Jungkook. I can't even say that I'm not lucky because I have you by my side. I'm really lucky to have you, Vine. You have always been there for me, no matter the situation. Vine. And I will always be with you in future too. So don't worry. He gazed at you deeply with his teary bunny eyes and you covered your face with your hands. You dramatically. Please, don't look at me like that. I am getting shy. Jungkook chuckled and swiftly laid you down on the bed, hovering above you, your foreheads almost touching, your face just millimeters apart, your nose touching each other. He was gazing at you when your cheeks turned pink. Jungkook smirked. Now you're blushing for real. You pushed him lightly and sat on the bed. Jungkook couldn't resist a playful smirk. Jungkook smirking. Yeah, what happened, baby? Don't you want to blush some more? Vine blushing. Oh please, don't tease me, Jungkook. He chuckled softly. Vine. Yeah, tell me, what did that person said? When you asked about the conversation, Jungkook's expression turned serious and he proceeded to tell you everything. Jungkook told you everything about what Logan told him. You were taken aback, not knowing how to react to the weight of the situation. Vine concerned and worried. Jungkook, what if your dad is really behind all of this? And what if your mom is truly alive? Jungkook looked at you, his expression serious and silent. You reached out and gently held his hand. Vine. Jungkook? Jungkook hummed in response. Vine. Don't stress. I know it's a tough time for you, but believe that everything will be alright. I trust you and I know you will uncover the hidden truth. Jungkook looked at you, a smile breaking through his seriousness. Jungkook. Yeah, Vine. I'll definitely find out the truth. And I truly hope my mom is alive. Vine. Yeah, Jungkook. I hope so too. In that moment, you both shared a heartfelt embrace, finding solace and strength in each other's presence. The next day, you, Jungkook, and Mr. John found yourself at the breakfast table. The atmosphere was tense and the silence hung in the air until Jungkook finally spoke. Jungkook serious. Dad, I want to talk to you about something important. Mr. John looked at him, his expression curious and attentive. Mr. John, yes Jungkook, what's on your mind my son? Jungkook's words took you by surprise and you were left stunned and confused, but you remained silent waiting for the conversation to unfold. Jungkook, determined. Dad, I want to return your property. Mr. John's confusion deepened. Mr. John confused. What happened, Jungkook? Why are you talking like this? The tension in the room was palpable as father and son began a conversation that could potentially change everything. Emotions ran high as the weight of the situation settled in. Jungkook, Dad, that property is yours, and I don't think I deserve it. I want to build my business from the ground up without relying on anyone's support. I want to start from the scratch and create my own empire. Both you and Mr. John were shocked by Jungkook's unexpected decision. Mr. John tried to reassure his son. Mr. John, Jungkook, this property is also yours. Why are you thinking like that? But it's okay. I can understand your feelings. Go ahead and I know you will be very successful. I am proud of you, my son. Mr. John smiled warmly and Jungkook returned the smile. You observed Jungkook closely, still uncertain about what was truly going on in his mind. After breakfast, Mr. John excused himself and went to his room. Jungkook then led you to your room where he began to explain the plan in more detail. Jungkook, I know Vine, you must be wondering what I am doing, but this is all the part of our plan. Firstly, I will tell Dad that I want to name the property under his name. If he is really behind my mom's disappearance, he will see this as an opportunity to get what he wants and he might try to harm her since she would be of no use to him. That's when Mr. Logan and I will follow him and hopefully find my mom. It's a simple plan, but we are hoping it works. You listened carefully, your face reflecting your understanding and determination. Vine, yes Jungkook, I hope this plan succeeds. But please be careful. If Dad is truly involved, he might try to harm you too. Jungkook gently cupped your face. Jungkook, don't worry Vine, I will be okay. I have already assigned someone to keep an eye on him, to track his movements and activities. He mostly stays at home, so whenever he goes out, I will follow him. You looked at him with concern but nodded nonplussly. Jungkook, don't worry baby, your cookie is strong enough to protect himself. He gave you a reassuring smile and you hugged him tightly, emotions running deep as you both prepared to face the uncertainties that laid ahead. On the same evening, Jungkook received information that Mr. John was about to leave the house. He quickly armed himself with a gun for protection, ready to follow his father. However, you stopped him in his track. Vine concerned, I want to come with you Jungkook. Jungkook looked at you with worry etched on his face. Jungkook, no Vine, it's too dangerous and I don't want to put you in danger. Please stay here. Vine, but Jungkook, Vine, please understand. Let me handle this alone. Stay here and take care. You reluctantly nodded, understanding his concern for your safety. Vine, take care, Cookie. He quickly kissed your forehead and rushed towards his car to follow Mr. John. Jungkook promptly called Mr. Logan, informed him of the situation and sent him his location. Mr. Logan began to follow Jungkook's car as well. Mr. John eventually stopped his car in front of a dark, silent warehouse and he went inside. Jungkook followed closely behind, parked his car nearby. Jungkook in his mind while sitting in the car. There is definitely something wrong here. Mr. Logan also parked his car and joined Jungkook outside. They exchanged determined glances. Jungkook, let's go inside. Logan nodded and together they prepared to enter the warehouse, their hearts pounding with anticipation and uncertainty. Emotions ran high as they stepped into the unknown. On the other hand, your worry for him was too overwhelming to ignore, so you rushed to your car trying to convince yourself that you were only going to check on him and make sure he was okay. Vine convincing herself, I'm not putting myself in danger, I'm just going to reassure myself that Jungkook is fine. What if he need my help? I should go, but I won't show myself to him. He will scold me for not listening, but I can't help worrying about him. After all, everything is fair in love and war, right? You tracked Jungkook's location and drove to the scene. When you arrived, you spotted both Logan and Jungkook's car parked nearby. Your heart raced with a mixture of fear and determination as you gathered the courage to enter the unknown. Vine in her mind. You have put yourself in a tricky situation, Vine. You have to hide not only from Mr. Jeon but also from Jungkook. With these thoughts swirling in your mind, you cautiously proceeded inside. Jungkook and Logan silently crept inside, and what they witnessed tore their hearts apart. Mrs. Jeon was tied to a chair, her frail figure struggling to keep her eyes open. Mr. Jeon had placed a chair in front of her and sat there with an evil grin on his face. Seeing his mother in such a helpless and weakened state filled Jungkook with a mixture of emotions of hurt, sadness, anger, and pain. Tears welled up in his eyes as he gazed upon her. Mr. Jeon evil smiled. Darling, I have some exciting news for you today. Mrs. Jeon weakly glanced at Mr. Jeon. Mr. Jeon, your son told me today that he is going to give me all his property. Quite interesting, isn't it? I didn't even have to do anything. The prey came to the hunter willingly. He chuckled evilly. Mr. Jeon, and now I don't need you anymore. Did you think that if you didn't transfer the property to my name, I wouldn't be able to get what I want? Huh? Say something, darling. Mrs. Jeon remained silent, just looking at Mr. Jeon. Mr. Jeon angrily grabbed her hair and brought his face close to hers. Mr. Jeon, you are showing me attitude, huh? Well, I won't say much today because I am in a good mood. So, I'll put an end to your suffering today. He smirked wickedly, pulling her hair with one hand while drawing a gun from his pocket with the other, slowly moving the barrel from her forehead to her chin. You had been hidden behind the pillars, witnessing the terrifying scene unfold. When Mr. Jeon heard a voice from behind, his eyes widened in shock. Jungkook filled with anger. Leave her! Mr. Jeon turned to see Jungkook standing there, a gun in his hand with Logan at his side. Mr. Jeon was completely stunned by his unexpected turn of events. Mr. Jeon confused. Jungkook? What are you doing here? Jungkook gave him a deadly glare. Jungkook, you didn't expected this, did you, Mr. Jeon? Mr. Jeon remained speechless, his gaze now locked on Jungkook, but Jungkook's attention quickly turned to his mother, who looked at him with teary eyes. Tears welled up in Jungkook's eyes as he was overwhelmed with emotions. Jungkook, with teary eyes, called out to his mother. Jungkook, tearful, Mom? Tears streamed down Mrs. Jeon's cheeks as she gazed at her son, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and sorrow. Jungkook couldn't bear to see his mother in such a dreadful condition. His anger and disbelief were directed towards Mr. Jeon. Jungkook, filled with anger, shouting, Dad, how could you do this? How could you do this to my mom? Mr. Jeon shamelessly laughed and taunted Jungkook. Mr. Jeon, Dad? I'm not your dad, Jungkook. Jungkook was utterly confused by Mr. Jeon's claim. Mr. Jeon, well, now that you know my secret, let me tell you the truth. I am not your father, you are not my son. Your mom betrayed me. She was pregnant before our marriage, but she didn't tell me. She hid the secret from me, and you know what? I found out on the day when your mother's accident, or should I say, fake accident occurred. I wanted revenge, so I kidnapped her and tortured her. I staged her death, making the world believe that she was dead. On that day, I struck her on the head with the rod while she was talking to her ex. Jungkook was in shock. The revelation was overwhelming. He had grown up believing Mr. John as his father, and now it all crumbled. You, hidden nearby, couldn't believe your ears. You watched Jungkook's emotional turmoil, your heart aching for him as he absorbed these painful truths. Mr. John continued to drop another bombshell. Mr. John, not only that, do you know who your real father is? Jungkook looked at him in astonishment. John Logan. Jungkook's gaze shifted towards Logan, who looked down, unable to meet Jungkook's eyes. Jungkook was overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions, stress, shock, hurt, and confusion, to name just a few. Jungkook was deeply shocked and hurt upon learning the truth, making it difficult for him to accept. Mr. John quickly approached Mrs. John, placing a gun to her forehead. Mr. John, if you want your mom to stay alive, then name the property in my name. Jungkook became increasingly worried for his mom's safety. Jungkook, angry and serious. Don't you dare to harm her. Mr. John, I'm not joking, Jungkook. Go and bring the property papers and sign them. Jungkook, torn between anger and fear for his mother's life, reluctantly agreed. Jungkook, worried and angry. Wait, don't do anything to her. I will sign the papers. Mr. John smiled victoriously. Mr. John, good boy. Now go and bring the papers. The tense situation was filled with intense emotion and fear. In the tense moment, you emerged from behind the pillars and swiftly pushed Mr. John, causing him to fall to the ground. Jungkook was taken aback by your sudden action, but he rushed over to you and his mother. You began untying Mrs. John's hand, focused on ensuring her safety. However, Mr. John, in desperate move, grabbed his gun and fired it in Jungkook's direction. The room filled with shock as everyone turned their attention to the sound of the gunshot. Miraculously, the bullet didn't hit Jungkook. Instead, it struck Mr. Logan, who had bravely stepped in between to protect Jungkook. Logan fell to the ground, blood flowing from his stomach. Jungkook wasted no time. With a determined resolve, he raised his own gun and shot Mr. John in the forehead, ending the threat. The room was filled with a mix of emotions, ranging from shock to relief, as the traumatic ordeal came to an abrupt end. Jungkook quickly rushed to Mr. Logan, who was lifeless laying on the ground. Vine worried. Jungkook, take him to the hospital fast. Jungkook nodded in agreement. Jungkook worried. But mom, Vine, don't worry, I will bring her with me. You go fast, please. So much blood is flowing through his body. Jungkook quickly picked Logan and placed him in his car and drove to the hospital. Tears welled up in his eyes, reflecting his profound guilt and fear for Mr. Logan's life. Simultaneously, you also helped Mrs. John, assisting her into your car, and together you hurried towards hospital. When you all reached hospital, doctors took Mr. Logan to the operation theatre and attending to Mrs. John's fragile condition. Jungkook was sitting in the waiting room, feeling helpless. He was crying as he was blaming himself that Mr. Logan got shot because of him. It was really a hard time for him when you were trying to comfort him. Whine softly. Jungkook, remember, we can't control everything in life. We can only do our best and hope for the best outcome. Jungkook sniffles. Yeah, you are right. I just wish I could have protected them better. Whine comforting. You have done more than enough, and you will keep doing your best. Now let's focus on the positive. Mr. Logan is strong. He will pull through. Jungkook emotionally. Thanks, Whine. Your words mean a lot to me. Whine playfully. And hey, once this is all over, we can have a laugh about how I knocked your dad down. He won't live that down. Jungkook smiling through tears. You are right. That's going to be a great story to tell. Whine grinning. You know, Jungkook, if we ever decide to write a book about our lives, this chapter would be titled as The Great Push Heist. Jungkook chuckling. Yeah, you would be the daring heroine who saved the day with a single push. Whine laughing. That's right. And you, the hero who chased down the bad guys with tears in his eyes. Jungkook laughing. Oh yeah, that's true. Vine giggling. We should pitch this story to Hollywood. You were chatting when doctor came out from the operation theater. Doctor, good news. Mr. Logan's operation was successful and he is in a stable condition. Vine relieved. Thank goodness. Jungkook grateful. Thank you, doctor. After receiving the good news about Mr. Logan, you both went to meet Mrs. Jeon, who was resting in her hospital room. Jungkook was filled with a mix of emotions, relieved that both his mother and Mr. Logan is safe. Mrs. Jeon looked at her son, understanding the turmoil he was going through. Mrs. Jeon softly. Jungkook? Jungkook looked at her when unknowingly a tear escaped from his eyes. Jungkook emotional. Mom? He quickly went to her and hugged her. They both barely hugged each other when Mrs. Jeon broke the hug and wiped Jungkook's tear. Mrs. Jeon, I am sorry, Jungkook. I know it's really hard time for you. So many secrets from the past came in front of you. Jungkook emotional. Please, Mom, don't say sorry. Even I am sorry. You have to face Mr. Jeon's torture. And I was unknown about all this. I couldn't save you from the devil. Mrs. Jeon, no, Jungkook, it's not your fault. Please don't blame yourself. Jungkook, it's not your fault either. You were looking at them emotionally. Mrs. Jeon tried to change mood. Mrs. Jeon playfully. Are we just going to play my fault, your fault game today? Jungkook looked at his mom and chuckled. Jungkook, yeah, Mom, this was an emotional moment and you ruined it. Mrs. Jeon, oh really? Being too much emotional is not good for health. Jungkook playfully raised his eyebrow. And which doctor prescribed this? Mrs. Jeon, it's me. I'm not less than a doctor. When you and Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook smiling. You know, Mom, Vine is also just like you. She also shifts the emotional conversation in funny conversation. You both don't give a chance to me to get emotional. He pouted. When Mrs. Jeon looked at you and passed a warm smile. Mrs. Jeon, yeah, she is so beautiful and kind. I really like your choice, Jungkook. When you and Jungkook looked at each other. Mrs. Jeon worried. Where is Logan? Is he okay? I forgot to ask about him. Vine. Yes, Mrs. Jeon, he is fine now. And surgery was successful. Mrs. Jeon relieved. Thank God. And Vine, call me Mom. She smiled and you also nodded. When you and Jungkook were about to go to Mr. Logan's room, but Mrs. Jeon said that she also wanted to see him, so you all went to Mr. Logan's room. Mr. Logan was lying on the bed, but when you all entered, he opened his eyes and looked at you. Whined softly. How are you feeling now, Mr. Logan? Logan assuring smile. I am fine now. When you looked at Jungkook, who was looking at Mr. Logan? Jungkook. Why you came in between? Mr. Logan looked at him. Logan. I didn't came in between. He shot me. Jungkook emotional. Oh really? Do you think we all are blind? Logan. No. I never said that. Did I? Jungkook cutely frustrated. Yeah, please dad, why you all are like this? Whenever I talk something serious, everybody start joking. Everybody chuckled. Mr. Logan emotional. Dad? You just call me dad? Jungkook playfully. So what should I call you? Mom? Mr. Logan chuckled. Logan. Yeah, now you are ruining the mood. Jungkook smirking. I also have to take the revenge. You all were chatting, but Mrs. Jeon was just silently looking at Logan. Logan looked at her. Logan softly. How are you? Mrs. Jeon. I am sorry. Logan. Huh? I said, how are you? And you said you are sorry? Mrs. Jeon serious. I am serious. Logan. What? No, I am serious. I just got a bullet shot, so my condition is more serious. You and Jungkook exchanged a weird look. Jungkook whispered in your ear. How bad joke he is throwing. You nodded in agreement. Mrs. Jeon. I am sorry, Logan, for leaving you. Logan serious. It's past, and I don't think we should remember it. Jungkook. If you don't mind, then can I ask why you both broke up? They both looked at him. Mr. Logan. Actually, Mrs. John, it was all because of me. Everybody looked at her. Mrs. John. Actually, Logan wanted to go to USA for his business for about 2 years, and I didn't agree for that. I protested against it, and when he said that he will marry me after returning from US, after becoming a successful person in his life, I just broke up with him because I thought he is just ignoring the fact of wedding and he don't really want to marry me. Logan. It's not like that. It was not your mistake. Mrs. John. Please, Logan, you also know that it was my mistake. Logan remained silent. Fine, but after 2 years, when you returned, did you talk to mom? Logan. When I returned from US, I searched for her as I really wanted to meet her, but I got to know that she got married and she had a son. So at that time, I really felt bad, and I didn't had the guts to meet her. But after so many years, she called me on that day for telling that Jungkook is my son. Jungkook looked at him surprised. Jungkook. It means you knew this before? And you said that you didn't know what is the truth. Logan. Yes, because I thought only your mom has the right to tell you the truth. If she hid this from you, then there must be some reason. Jungkook nodded. Mrs. John, and one more thing which we want to reveal. You both looked at them. Mrs. John. John Logan is the brother of Mr. John. You both got shocked. Jungkook and Wine. What? Mrs. John. Yes, it's true. Mr. John depended on my business, but Logan built his own. This is a difference between them. You both were shocked but still managed to process it. Mrs. John. Where is your wife, Logan? I mean, is she in US or in Seoul? If she is here, then we should tell her about your condition. Logan. I am single, guys. Everybody looked at him shocked. Jungkook. What? Logan. Yes, Mrs. John. But why didn't you marry yet? Logan. Because I couldn't find a girl like you. Mrs. John blushed. Jungkook. How can someone wait for so long? I mean, this is really a long time period. Vine playfully looking at Jungkook with the corner of her eyes. It's true love. You will not understand. Jungkook hugged you from back and started tickling you. Jungkook. Yeah. What did you said? I'll not understand, huh? Say that again. You were laughing and stopping him from tickling. Vine. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please leave me. When Jungkook stopped and you finally took a deep breath, Mrs. John and Mr. Logan were looking at you guys and smiling at both of you. Logan. Remember? Once I tickled you, but after that you didn't talk to me for 2 days. I kept saying sorry, but you didn't listen. And after 2 days, you forgave me. Mrs. John emotionally smiled. Yeah, I remember. Those were really very good days. They were chatting when Jungkook tried to shift the mood. Jungkook. Yeah guys, if Mr. Logan is single and you both love each other, then why you don't marry each other? You looked at both of them. Mrs. John shyly. Jungkook, what are you saying? When Logan was smiling. Jungkook. You are saying this and see Dad's face. He is already ready for it. When Mrs. John looked at Logan. Logan. Mrs. John, don't you want to marry me, huh? Mrs. John shyly. No, it's not like that. I'm just... Vine. I'm just getting shy. You completed her sentence when Jungkook and Logan chuckled. Jungkook. No problem, guys. We will manage the preparation of your wedding. You guys just chill. See, you guys are so lucky to have kids like us, who are managing your wedding plan alone and giving you guys rest. Vine. Yeah, Jungkook. Now you're also behaving like me, Mom and Mr. Logan. You shifted Santi mood into funny. Jungkook. After all, I'm your husband and their son, so I will also be get affected. Mrs. John and Mr. Logan chuckled and looked at both of you. Mrs. John. Yeah, we are really lucky to have kids like you. She smiled. Jungkook looked at Vine. Jungkook smiling. I really hope that our kids would also be like us. He giggled and looked at you. Wine. Yeah, they should also know how to shift moods, right? Jungkook. Oh, no, never. They should have a good sense of humor just like me. Wine. Yeah, what do you want to say? I don't have a good sense of humor? Huh? Jungkook. No, I never said that. My baby is the best in everything. He hugged you. Jungkook. But except sense of humor. He giggled when you lightly hit his arm. Time skips to home after the discharge of Mr. Logan and Mrs. John. In your room. Wine POV. We both entered in a room when I felt two hands wrapping my waist. I know it's my cookie, of course. When he slowly placed his chin beside my neck and whispered in a husky voice which sent chills down my spine. Jungkook. Finally, everything is fine now. We can focus on our relation. Wine. Yeah. Jungkook hugged you more tightly. Wine POV. I don't know why this time he is hugging me. I am feeling really nervous. His touch is sending shivers down my spine. Jungkook. Yeah, and now I can finally give all my time to my wife. He smiled. Wine. Jungkook? Jungkook Wine. We have to arrange mom-dad's wedding. Jungkook. Yeah, I remember. You don't take stress. I'll talk to the wedding planner and he will manage all the preparations. Wine. Yeah, what does that mean? You are not gonna do anything? Jungkook. I never said that, baby. I will love my wife. This is also very important work. He smiled. Wine. Yeah, Jungkook. We should do preparation by ourselves. I mean, we should take care of each and everything properly. Jungkook. Why? We just have to pay it to the wedding planners and they will manage everything. It's simple. Wine. Do however you like. When Jungkook spoke, his voice was like chilled breeze. Jungkook. I am thinking to marry again. What do you think? You pushed him lightly and backed off. Wine. Yeah, why? Don't you love me anymore? You are so selfish and cruel. How can you marry again in the presence of your wife? Cold-hearted person? You are heartless. Your heart is made of rock. Jungkook. Yeah, baby, calm down please. What are you saying? I am saying to remarry you. And you are thinking all rubbish? Why should I marry someone? I have you, love of my life. And firstly, you decide that am I cold-hearted, heartless or rock-hearted? He said and chuckled. You pouted. Wine cutely and dramatically. You should have made it clear before. And yeah, you are stone-hearted. Fine? Happy? You always tease me and don't care about my feelings. Jungkook chuckled and touched your cheeks with his cold hands and kissed your cheeks. Jungkook. Yeah, Wine. For you, I can take the stone-hearted tag also. He smiled when you looked at him. Jungkook. And baby, you know, a name written on stone can never be erased. And your name has been written on a stone heart. Jungkook smiled when you chuckled and hugged him. Wine POV. Jungkook broke the hug with a playful glint in his eyes, leaned in closer. I could feel my heart racing, and a mixture of anticipation and excitement coursed through my veins. His breath brushed against my lips, causing a tingling sensation. The room seemed to grow smaller, and all I could focus on was his magnetic presence. As his lips inched closer to mine, a warm, fluttering sensation enveloped me. The world around us faded away, leaving only the two of us in that moment. His fingers lightly brushed my cheeks, sending shivers down my spine. The connection between us was palpable. But at that moment, you felt someone entered in your room, and that was Mrs. John. Mrs. John quickly shifted her eyes in other direction after seeing both of you busy in kissing each other. When quickly Jungkook broke the kiss and you both embarrassedly looked at Mrs. John's direction. Mrs. John embarrassed. I'm sorry kids, I just entered randomly without knocking. I'm sorry, I'm going. You guys continue. Jungkook while brushing hairs. No mom, why you came? I mean, do you need anything? Mrs. John, yeah, actually, me and Logan were going for a walk to take some fresh air, so I thought to inform you once. Jungkook, okay. Okay, take care. He nervously smiled, and Mrs. John went outside. You both felt embarrassed when Jungkook spoke. Jungkook, I had to talk to a wedding planner, so, excuse me. By saying this, he went outside, and you laid on the bed feeling embarrassed. As Jungkook and you continued to prepare for his parents' wedding, the air was filled with a mix of excitement, nerves, and love. The two of you worked tirelessly to ensure every detail was perfect, from the flower arrangement to the seating chart. In between the preparations, there were moments of pure romance. Jungkook would often steal glances at you, his heart swelling with affection. You, in turn, would catch his eye, and the connection between you both felt electric. On the big day, as Jungkook's parents exchanged vows, you couldn't help but feel a lump in your throat. Their love story inspired you, and it was a reminder of the love you and Jungkook shared. After the ceremony, there was a lively reception filled with dancing and laughter. You and Jungkook took to the dance floor, moving to the music with grace and enthusiasm. As the night came to a close, you both watched the newlywed drive away hand in hand. Jungkook and you entered your room, both exhausted from the wedding preparation. You flopped down on the bed, letting out a sigh of relief, and Jungkook followed suit, laying beside you. Jungkook smiling. Finally, everything is done. You, weary but content. Yeah, I'm really happy for them. Jungkook hummed in agreement. Jungkook, I guess now it's our turn. You confused. Our turn for what? Jungkook, to work on a relationship. He smiled and you looked at him. Jungkook, we have faced so many problems, ups and downs in last few days. We couldn't give each other proper time, so now, since everything is fine, I want to give all my time to my wife. He smiled warmly and pulled you into a tight hug. Whined playfully. But Cookie, if you give 100% of your time to me, when will you go to office? You looked at him with big innocent eyes and he chuckled, Jungkook laughing. You are really something, you know that? I was just being little cheesy. You both shared a heartfelt laugh and embrace, but Jungkook hovered over you and your heart started to race. You were nervous. Jungkook, what are you doing? He smirked and came closer, his eyes locked into yours. Jungkook, I'm just looking at my wife's beautiful face. Jungkook's POV. In that quiet room, with her eyes gazing into mine, I felt like I was drowning in a sea of emotions. I couldn't hold back any longer. The words burst from my lips. Jungkook, I love you, Vine. Her eyes sparkled with tears of joy, and in that moment, I knew I had made the right choice. Vine POV. His confession hung in the air, heavy with sincerity and love. My heart swelled with emotions as I looked into those deep, adoring eyes. Vine, I love you too, Jungkook. Our words were like promise, sealing our love in that perfect fleeting moment. Time skips after 6 years. You were sitting on the couch and reading a magazine when you heard Jungkook shouting in the kitchen. Vine, yeah, what happened to him? Why is he shouting? She was about to go to Jungkook when she saw Junwo. Their 4-year-old son came to her running with his little feet. Junwo, Mama, why is Dada shouting? Vine, I don't know, baby. Let me check what happened. When Junwo held your hand and stopped you, you looked at him. Junwo, Mama, don't go. Dada is so angry. I know. Vine. What happened, baby? Why are you so scared? Junwo looked at you with his big doughy eyes. Junwo. Mama, Junwo drank Dada's banana milk. He pouted at your eyes widened. Vine. What? Baby? You know na, he gets angry when someone drinks his banana milk, and the thing is that it was the last bottle in our house. Junwo pouted and looked down. Junwo. I am sorry, Mama. I didn't knew that. When you looked at him and picked him and sat on the couch by making him sit on your lap. Vine. Oh, my baby is sad. No problem, baby. Mama will order another box of banana milk and then your dada will become happy. Junwo. Wow, Mama, you are so smart. Okay, Mama, you order fast. Now, please, as I will take banana milk to my school and one for me and one for my friend, okay? You smiled, kissed his chubby cheeks and nodded. Vine, okay baby. You quickly placed the order when you saw Jungkook coming in your direction. When Junwo quickly held you tightly as he got scared by seeing Jungkook fuming in anger. Vine to Junwo. Yeah baby, don't be scared. Dada will not scold you. But still Junwo was holding Vine tightly. Jungkook angry. Yeah, who drank my banana milk? Jungkook looked at you. Vine. What? Why are you looking at me? Do you think I drank it? Jungkook. I don't know who drank it. Tell me if you know. You looked at Jungkook and then shifted your gaze towards Junwo and again at Jungkook. Vine. No, I don't know. Jungkook shouts. Then who drank it? Vine query and frustrated. Don't you dare to shout at me, Jungkook. I don't know where is your banana milk. Go and find yourself. Don't disturb me. You looked at him angrily. When Mrs. John and Logan also came downstairs by hearing Jungkook shouting, Mrs. John worried. Yeah, kids, what is happening? Why are you shouting, Jungkook? Jungkook didn't spoke anything. Vine. Mom, your son had started World War. Mr. Logan. But why? What happened? Vine. Somebody drank his banana milk. Mrs. John and Logan looked at him in disbelief. Mrs. John and Logan. Banana milk? You nodded when Jungkook dramatically and frustratedly left to his room. Mrs. John. What should I do with this kid? Vine. I don't know why he is so possessive for banana milk. Mrs. John and Logan chuckled. Logan teasing. I guess he's in love with it. Vine. You have to do anything. You chuckled. Vine. Yeah, let it be. I don't care now. He's really being too much. When you were about to go, but again Junwo held you. Junwo. Where are you going, Mama? Vine kneeled down to his level. Vine. Baby, let me check on Dada and calm him down. Junwo concerned. Don't go, Mama. Dada will scold you. Vine bravery. Huh? Scold? Me? Oh baby, nobody can dare to scold John Vine. You don't know me properly yet. Just wait and watch. You go and play with Grandma and Grandpa when you left to your room, while Junwo secretly followed you to your room, hid behind the door and watched you both. When you entered, you saw Jungkook, still he was looking angry. Vine in mind. What should I do of this man? Jungkook looked at you. Jungkook. You seriously don't know who drank it? He came close to you. Vine. Why are you acting like a kid, Jungkook? I have already ordered another box of banana milk, so calm yourself down. Jungkook. But still, why it seems like you drank it? You were now really frustrated, but somehow you controlled yourself. You were stepping towards him slowly while he was stepping back. Jungkook nervous. Yeah, what are you doing, Vine? Vine. Do you really think that I drank it? Jungkook stepping back. No, I guess Junwo drank it. Oh yeah, he also liked banana milk, so he must have drank it. I will surely scold him. I know, my Vine can never drink it. Jungkook nervously smiled when his back touched the wall. But you quickly, sharply banged your hand on the wall beside his face, and Jungkook quickly flinched. Wine, don't you dare to scold my baby. Jungkook, baby, what happened? What happened to you today? Why are you behaving like this? Wine, I thought my husband is behaving weird, so why not me? Jungkook, sorry baby, but you know na, I love banana milk. Wine, yeah really? More than me? Jungkook, what are you saying, Wine? Wine, alright, tell me, whom do you love more, me or banana milk? Jungkook, what kind of question is it? Huh? Don't you know I love you so much, Wine? He said while hugging you. Jungkook, but I can't drink you when I am hungry, so I love banana milk also. You broke the hug and gave him death glares. Wine dramatically, yeah, right. So marry your so-called banana milk and give me divorce. You pouted. Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook, acha sorry baby, I love you more than anything. Wine, more than banana milk? Jungkook smiled. Yeah, more than banana milk. When you smiled and hugged him, when Junwo was hiding behind the door, Junwo in mind. Wow, my mama is really a superwoman. She is so strong and smart. Only she can control my dada. Wow. When Junwo came out and went to Wine and Jungkook, Jungkook, oh, my son is here. How are you, my baby? Jungkook quickly picked him up and made him sit in his lap. Junwo, I am fine, Dada. Now you're not angry? Jungkook looked at you and then at Junwo. Jungkook, no, baby, I am not. Junwo and Jungkook giggled. Junwo, Mama, you are really amazing. Junwo looked at you and smiled, and when you pecked his forehead. Jungkook, why, what happened? Wine, it's Junwo and Mama's secret. Junwo giggled. Junwo, yes, it's our secret. Jungkook, alright, fine. Then let's go and drink some banana milk. Your mom ordered it. Junwo, hooray! Yeah, let's go, Dada. But I want to eat ice cream. Jungkook, why don't you want to drink banana milk? Junwo, no, actually I already. Junwo realized that he should not say that. Jungkook frowned his eyebrow. I already? Junwo looked at you when you quickly completed his sentence. Wine, he already drank the chocolate milkshake. That's why I guess he don't want to drink banana milk. Jungkook, oh, okay. Then fine, I will drink banana milk and my baby will eat ice cream. Let's go, champ. Jungkook got up with Junwo when you spoke. Wine, don't you dare to drink banana milk or ice cream. They both looked at you. Jungkook, why? Wine, because it's lunchtime. Firstly eat lunch and then only you can drink banana milk. You looked at Junwo. Wine, and ice cream is not allowed. You can only eat it once a week, alright? You strictly looked at both of them when they both nodded and you left the room. Jungkook, your mom is really in a bad mood, I guess. Junwo, it's all because of you, Dada. Jungkook looked at Junwo with weird expressions. Junwo, yeah, my wife will also scold me like this, Dada. Jungkook looked at him shocked. Jungkook, you are so young to think about all this. Junwo, yeah, Dada, you know I had a girlfriend. She is so cute and she always share her colors with me and I share my food with her. Junwo giggled when Jungkook was shocked. Jungkook, yeah, what? You are in a kindergarten, baby, and you had a girlfriend? Junwo, don't worry, Dada, I'm not gonna marry her so early. Jungkook placed his hand on his forehead in shock and disbelief. Jungkook, I never even dated any girl in my life. Your mom is the first and the last girl of my life, and we directly married without dating. And you? Oh my goodness. Kids these days are really advanced. As the family savored Vian's delicious lunch, the conversation took an interesting turn. Junwo excitedly, Mama, guess what? Today in school we learned about superheroes. Vian, that sounds amazing, Junwo. Who's your favorite superhero? Junwo, well, I like Spider Man because he can climb walls, and Iron Man because he has a cool suit. Jungkook joining the conversation. Ah, Spider Man and Iron Man, great choice. But do you know who is the superhero in this house? Junwo. Who? Jungkook pointing to Wine. Your mama. She can cook incredible meals, manage the house, and still finds time to listen to all our stories. Wine blushing. Oh, stop it, Jungkook. Mrs. John joining in. He's right, Wine. You are our superhero. Logan nodding. Absolutely. And Jungkook here is the protector of our banana milk supply, the guardian of the fridge. We all burst into laughter at Logan's playful remark. Junwo giggling. Dad, you are the banana man. Jungkook playing along. That's right, buddy. Banana man to the rescue. Our lunch continued with laughter and warmth, making it yet another cherished family memory. It was in this light-hearted moment that we found the true magic of the family.
I'm